Hello everyone and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program video with me, Oofle Spoofle, and in this video we are going to be visiting the three least popular destinations in the Kerbal solar system, which are Pole, Bop and Dres. So here we have our rocket. I've decided to go with the ISRU approach just so we don't have a giant rocket that kills your PC, and it also saves a lot of time, and I think it's also quite an elegant approach. I know a lot of people think differently, but that's just my opinion anyway. So I've used the 3.75 meter diameter parts to get into orbit. I don't know why, but I don't find myself using that very much. I normally just go with 5 meters because I'm lazy, but I also don't really like the way they look, but I think I've come up with something that looks decent. I really wish you could color the Mammoth engine orange. That's like the one feature I really want, because then you can match the orange 3 meter tanks, like the really big tanks, and I don't know, you can make like better SLS replicas, for example. Personally, I think other people have other priorities, but personally that's what I'd like to see in a future update. But anyway, we've now staged away the first stage a while ago actually, and we're using the Rhino stage to get us most of the way into orbit. But you'll see here we're about to switch over to this is our actual ship here, and we're using the Wolfhound engine because it has the highest ISP out of any chemical engine, and it has pretty good thrust, and I mean it's basically perfect for what I needed to do, because we're not landing in any atmospheres or anything, so I mean it's a no-brainer really. Now, I did say we were going to Pole, Bop and Dres, but we're also going to Minmus because we don't quite have enough Delta V to reach any of the three destinations from low Kerbal orbit. So, yeah, we are going to have to go and refuel at Minmus first. I did try to land on Pole straight from low Kerbal orbit, and I think I was like 100 meters per second short. It was really frustrating, but sadly it's not possible. Well, it might be if I had flown a bit more efficiently, but oh well. You know, a Minmus landing doesn't take too long to do, so yeah, why not? And I also ended up landing on a place that I've never landed before. It's not that big of a deal really, but I do believe, I could be wrong, but I think it's the highest mountain on Minmus, and well, you'll see me land on it just here. As you can see, it's about 5 kilometers in elevation, and it might be the tallest mountain in Minmus. Could be wrong. But I don't think I've landed there before. I always go for somewhere like the Greater Flats, just because it's nice and easy. But you know, I think this is actually a bit more interesting. But anyway, now that we're landed on Minmus, we can go ahead and deploy the ISRU equipment, as well as the solar panels and radiators. And we can think about moving on to, well, first of all, Minmus orbit, and then over to the Joule system. So we're going to be starting with Pole. I think just no real reason. I think it's just a bit easier to get to, and then transferring from Pole to Bop is a lot easier than going from a Joule encounter straight to Bop. I don't know if that even made sense. That might not even be true. Maybe I'm just biased or something. I don't know. But yeah, I know I'm getting really ahead of myself as well, but in fact, actually, I can talk about what's going on screen here. So, you'll notice that I'm actually lowering my Kerbal periapsis to just above the atmosphere, and that's to make use of the O-berth effect. And for those of you that don't know what the O-berth effect is, it's basically means that your engine burns will be more efficient the faster you're going, and we can obviously go faster by lowering our periapsis here. So even though we're spending fuel to lower our periapsis, we end up gaining fuel in the fuel that we saved, and our Joule injection burn would have been much more expensive if we hadn't done this. And we're going to be using the same trick at Joule, just to lower our periapsis to a height where we can encounter Pole. And speaking of Pole, we are now there. And I know I skipped a lot of that maneuvering, but I didn't want the video to drag out too much, so we can just skip ahead to the landing. And yeah, landing on Pole is actually really easy. It's the second smallest body in the solar system, only second to Gilly. And as you can see, I could just land from escape velocity really easily. I was only going at about 250 meters per second, so yeah, no problems there. I think it's quite an underrated moon as well. I mean, I think it looks decent, especially when it gets the text revamp. I'm actually kind of excited for that. But yeah, we can plant the flag, get refueled up, and make our way to Bop. And while we're on the subject of texture revamps, I know that I've got the old Bop textures, and that's just because I'm not playing on 1.11. That's basically because I am very used to some certain mods, and because 1.11 is fairly recent, not all the mods have come out yet, so yeah, that's why we've still got the old textures. But it definitely does look a lot better in the newer update, so, if you want to go to Bop, then, I play on 1.11, I'd say. But yeah, we're also not visiting the Kraken. I know some people don't like quote-unquote spoilers for Easter eggs, but sorry. But if you guys want, I can make a video on that. I don't know. I think a lot of people have already done videos on that, but it's kind of hard to locate. So I just landed wherever I could. But I mean, not here actually, because while Bop is pretty small, it's slightly larger than Minmus. It actually has the biggest differences in terrain height. So there's not a whole lot of flat area on Bop. So as you can see, I can't actually land here because the slope's too steep. So I had to go and move to a flatter area, like just down the slope. So yeah, Bop's kind of a bit harder to land on than you might think. It's also a lot harder to get to because it's on this 15-degree inclination, and that takes quite a lot of delta V, especially in dual orbit where the orbital speeds are quite high. So it might look easy, but it's actually not as easy as you might think. But anyway, now that we're on Bop, we can deploy the ISRU and do the same old thing of planting a flag and getting Jebediah out. I know I said that in the wrong order, whatever. And we can think about getting to Dres. Now, dual to Dres transfer windows aren't very frequent, so, the Kerbals did have to wait a good few years for this transfer, but, they've got a lot of, they've downloaded a bunch of oofle spoofle videos that they can watch, so hey, they've got entertainment, right? But, yeah, I kind of just forced the encounter, really. I wasn't worried about efficiency because when this thing is fully fueled up, like especially with the ore tanks full, you have about, I think it was about 4,500 to 5,000 meters per second. I know it only says like 1,800 here, but that's because my ore tanks are full and it's not accounting that. But once I've converted that into liquid fuel and oxidizer, then, I'll have even more delta V. So yeah, fully fueled up, this thing has a lot of range, so you don't need to worry about being too efficient. And in fact, as you can see here, I didn't bother correcting my inclination, so I'm ejecting on this wild inclination, and yeah, I ended up having a lot of inclination relative to Dres, and wow, I just said inclination a lot of times in that sentence. But yeah, we can go ahead and plot our ejection burn out from dual, and we can get to Dres. Now, Dres always gets like really heavily memed by the KSP community, and you kind of gotta feel bad for it sometimes, but at the same time, it's like, it's the Mun, but annoying, if you know what I mean. It looks really similar to the Mun, so, no uniqueness there. And it's also a bit smaller, so it doesn't have that same challenge, And it's also annoying to get to, because it's fairly far out and on this annoying 5-degree inclination that's like not enough to be that big of a deal, but it's still enough to like get in the way of your delta V savings. So I think that's, it's just hasn't got much going for it. That's the reason it always gets left out. But all that rambling out the way, we are at Dres now, in case you haven't noticed. And we can touch down on the rather boring surface and plant one last flag, get the ship refueled up, and head back to Kerbin. So yeah, I think the total mission time comes up to about 14 years. But like I said, the Kerbals, they have their entertainment. It's not like I have Kerbalism or something that makes me need to have, not really long missions. But yeah, it was all fine in the end. And there's nothing really going on screen right now. So I would like to take the opportunity to say that if you guys do regularly watch my content, and if you enjoy it, then, and if you're not subscribed, then you probably should subscribe, just so you get notified every time I upload, and you won't miss another upload like this. And also, while you're at it, click that like button. And I sound like the most generic YouTuber ever right now, but that's all I am, really. But anyway, we can do one last correction burn. That's going to get us to Kerbin. And at this point, I was actually kind of low on Delta V. I had to circularize using engines just because the speed I was coming to Kerbin at was just way too high to be able to aerobrake. So yeah, I did end up cutting it a bit fine on the Delta V front, but I mean, obviously I uploaded the video, so I don't think anything really went wrong. Well, nothing really went wrong, except the re-entry. You'll see it in a moment. It wasn't the best one I've ever done. We came in very steep here, and there are some explosions. It might look really bad, but the only thing we lost were like 3 air brakes and a solar panel. So none of the really expensive ISRU equipment or like the engine or something. That would I would not consider that as a success. But air brakes and solar panels, they're not that expensive. But we are now splashed down at Kerbin, and that is going to do it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, then leave a like, subscribe, and check out the videos on the end screen right here for more content just like this. But anyway, guys, that's done it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and have a great rest of your day.